uncertainty and danger that comes around this activity.
Which is your specialty, Ian. Your specialty is saying X is happening, and we in the media can be fully engaged with covering where Prigozhin is and the movement of his troops and what this means. Your job is to think bigger than that, to say, how does this affect everybody else in the world right now? What is your evaluation of the level of risk that has either increased or decreased for the world as a result of the events of the last 12 hours?
Yeah, well, I mean, the biggest thing that's happened is that Putin is in an increasingly unsustainable position. I think there's a reasonable likelihood that he'll be able to repress this
It's supposed to be a civil war over in Russia, man. They fighting. The mercenaries Putin hired has turned on him and marching on Moscow.
But that's very different from saying Putin then has a stable Russia. No. Putin created this monster, Mr. Prigozhin, who is directly responsible to Putin outside of the traditional reigns of authority of the Russian military. And now he's going to the Russian military to say, I need you to take care of this mess that I created, kind of like the failed Ukrainian war. That really undermines his power position in Russia going forward. Probably means they have to have martial law. They have to have an ongoing surveillance and police state that's much more repressive for the average Russian than it's been for the last year and a half. That creates more internal instability. That makes it harder for Putin to keep his ducks in a row among the top security forces that are inside the Ministry of Defense. The other point of this, Ali, is that all of those forces that have been fighting in Ukraine, well, the counteroffensive is beginning, hasn't gone so well, but now Wagner's not a part of that. Kadyrov's supporters are going to fight against the Wagner types, and the remaining Russian forces, if they stay, are going to be spread very thin. Well, that gives the Ukrainians a tremendous opportunity to retake a lot of their land. It also means that to the extent that Putin has so-called red lines, like maintaining control of Crimea, being able to defend the land bridge between Russia and Crimea, those red lines might be broken. What will Putin do in a position where he can see himself humiliated and losing power with no friends on the international stage and looking bad at home? What does he do? What actions does he take? And that's where I get really concerned.
Right, and that's why the Canadians are meeting.
He might launch some motherfucking nukes, man. He might launch some motherfucking nukes.
Security establishments are all meeting because they're asking that question that you just asked. What might Putin do if cornered? Obviously, he brings up the nuclear thing all the time. Most people who study this think that it's usually just talk. But could a Putin feeling threatened do something that's more risky to the world right now?
Well, it's clear that the willingness of Putin to leave Ukrainian land completely destroyed, as opposed to allowing the Ukrainians to take it back, is relevant. We saw just a week and a half ago the Kakhovka Dam was destroyed. The Russians had control of that dam at the time. That leads the obvious question: how about the nuclear plant, the largest in Europe, in Zaporizhia? Would the Russians consider blowing it up as opposed to losing it to be retaken by the Ukrainians? That has to be at least a realistic plausibility. And what might that mean for all of us, for the millions of Ukrainians living in the area, for, God forbid, any radiation that comes out of it, for how NATO responds to that kind of terrorist activity from the Russian government? I think that would be much more likely than, for example, the use of a tactical nuclear weapon by the Russians. But these are unthinkable scenarios. And then you also have just the control of all of the Russian military. Will it be under unified control? They have a lot of capabilities. They've got cyber capabilities. They have biological capabilities. We just don't know in a week's time, in a month's time, to what extent Putin is going to be able to actually have line of vision over what they're doing and provide orders that will actually be followed. This is a very dangerous time to have a country like Russia as a rogue state.
Ian, kind of this is the unbelievable thing about you. You and I are meant to have a different conversation, which we will have, because America can't have adversaries in China and Russia and India all at the same time. And that has been a very important subtext all week, with Joe Biden calling Xi Jinping a dictator, and on the other side, citing Narendra Modi of India. We're going to have to put a pin in that conversation, but we will have it. Thank you
This
for
shit
your
is
great analysis this
unfucking
morning. Ian Bremmer is the
believable.
president and founder of Eurasia Group and G0.
This shit is unfucking believable. I can't believe this shit.
Right here on CNN. Thanks very much for watching. I'll be back 4 p.m. Eastern.
This shit is unfolding like just big time, man. Y'all stay safe out there, Gun Freak Nation, man. This shit. What you watching, baby? Texas who? Oh, okay. I never saw that movie before. Yo, Gun Freak Nation, keep your motherfucking eye to the sky. Look out for these savages as well as these motherfucking nukes that might come this way, man. This shit. Whoa.
His fight to a win. And to a degree,
that's the motherfucker right there.
Again, this is
just leading the mercenaries right there.
Putin's going, well, maybe we need that kind of wake-up call. I don't know. It is absolutely difficult to unravel. That's certainly something that we would hope to avoid in
this
the
shit right here.
Situation. If it happened, the leadership would certainly respond in a different vein. Although I have to share with you, Neil.
This is one of the they cutting off the border to Russia in one report
of Prigozhin to MacArthur. It's just simply
this
not
shit
appropriate.
is just fucking.
Yeah, I apologize. That was on my part. But my only point, General, was saying if you have a popular figure, very, very hard to deal with the outcry taking that popular figure on. That's what I meant by that. But I am curious. We had a way of handling that, and this country still do. If there's someone over and you're punished, or not punished, right? You can be replaced, or you have to retire. Obviously, in Russia, it's a whole different system. I'm just wondering what you make now, whether this emboldens others who might say, we agree with Prigozhin. This is our moment.
Yeah, they said that regular Russian troops was joining the mercenaries. Like the troops, regular Russian troops, they're defecting. They're Russian and joining the fucking mercenaries. That shit is. That shit is crazy.
In terms of the way the U.S. handled that situation versus what happens in other nations. But back to the current situation, it is going to be difficult to ascertain whether this goes so far as to result in Putin's demise, or it is simply.
You think Putin? Hey, do y'all think Putin is gonna survive this? They saying it's a coup that could turn into a fucking civil war, man. This shit is fucking crazy. And it's scary because it's nukes over there. This ain't no regular ass third world country. It's fucking, man, come on, what time we got there?
Military complex returning back to any type of normalcy anytime soon. And obviously it's going to be up to President Putin.
Yeah, this ain't no regular, this Russia can actually, man, oh my, I can't believe this shit. I really cannot believe the shit that is fucking happening right now, man. This shit is fucking, have you ever seen anything like this, baby? I ain't never saw nothing like this before. This shit is ridiculous.
Is here to fight for you, to get the justice you deserve.
Y'all, hey, look, man, y'all stay informed. I'm only doing this because this shit, a lot of people are like, well, what it got to do with us? It's got every motherfucking thing to do with us. That makes me nervous when with all these fucking nukes can be in anybody's hands. Who's to say he might feel like he's cornered and be like, fuck it, I'm gonna take the whole motherfucking world out. If I'm going out, Putin seemed like one of them. The fuck is going on? Got that?
Closed captioning is brought to you by
This shit
Page
is
Publishing.
crazy.
Publish a book, we'll review your manuscript for free.
If you've written a book, Page Publishing can help you through the process. We cut through the confusion.
Get the fuck on. Put the goddamn fucking news back on. I won't see this shit. Fucking world might end and goddamn. There we go, goddamn.
This is CNN Breaking News.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm Frederica Whitfield in Atlanta for special breaking news coverage of the crisis in Russia. Also joining us is CNN's Christian Amanpour in London. Christian, I'll join you in a moment. We begin today with a stunning development in the Russian war on Ukraine, and perhaps the biggest threat to President Vladimir Putin's iron-fisted control over Russia in decades. Putin is accusing the head of the mercenary Wagner group of an armed rebellion. The group's leader, Yevgeny Prigozhin, has been a longtime ally of the Kremlin, which relied on his soldiers for its war on Ukraine. But yesterday, he accused Russia of attacking his mercenaries. And Prigozhin now says his private army has seized control of Russian military facilities in two critical cities. The first is in the city of Rostov-on-Don. That's about 700 miles south of Moscow. And the second city is Voronezh, at about the halfway point on the road to Moscow. And he's threatening to push on to the capital if Russia's top general and defense minister don't meet with him.
Again, we came here. We want to receive the Chief of General Staff and Shoigu. Until they aren't here. Until they aren't here, we will be located here, blockading the city of Rostov, and we'll go to Moscow.
President Putin calls the actions by Prigozhin a betrayal and a stab in the back to the Russian people. In an ominous sign, Russian armored vehicles began appearing on Moscow streets last night. Putin is warning those who follow Prigozhin that they will pay the price.
All those who deliberately chose the path of treachery, who prepared an armed mutiny, who chose the path of blackmail and terrorist methods will face inevitable punishment and will answer both to the law and to our people.
Earlier, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken called G7 allies to discuss the situation and are watching the situation very closely, while President Biden has been briefed on all of it as well. But sources tell CNN the White House was caught off guard by the speed with which this crisis has unfolded. Christian.
Frederica, thank you. And of course, we've got full coverage of this breaking news story today. We have CNN's chief international security correspondent, Nick Payton-Walsh, national security reporter, Natasha Bertrand, chief national security correspondent and anchor Jim Sciutto, and CNN military analyst and former NATO Supreme Allied Commander, General Wesley Clark. So Nick, let me begin with you because you've done a lot of reporting on Wagner and you've been in that sort of area.
Man, this Wagner motherfucker, that nigga is standing up against Putin. That's a bad motherfucker. He know he dead if Putin get his hands on him. God damn, that Wagner motherfucker, Wagner, whatever the fuck his name. What?
By Prigozhin to Putin, even though he's not actually calling on Putin's ouster.
It's interesting, actually, there's a question I don't have a ready answer to, Christian. I think it's probably fair to say that there is a degree of frustration or fatalism amongst the ranks of Wagner, seeing themselves thrown into battles where they lose many men, many of them convicts indeed, thrown towards the front line, often complain about a lack of ammunition, and have now over the past days say they found themselves on the receiving end of an angry Russian top brass who both mismanaged the war but are now taking vengeance on Prigozhin for speaking out in the way that he did about the causes and the rationale behind the war on Friday. There may be some personal ambition of Yevgeny Prigozhin in this. Remember, this is a man very close to Putin for many years, used effectively as his bag man in many parts of the world where Russia could deny connection to the activities of...
This shit, man, this shit is... What the fuck, man? Look at this shit.
Military base, the headquarters for the Southern Command, the place where the war against Ukraine has been prosecuted since the beginning, and also a major military logistics hub. So this is a key place, strategic position for Russia in its war against Ukraine. Now, it's difficult to verify and confirm a lot of this information. A lot of this is coming from Wagner-affiliated social
There go that
media
motherfucker
channels.
right there.
We've seen the video, Richard.
There he is. That's Wagner right there. You
Forces
see it?
in Rostov-on-Don. There are tanks on the streets.
What?
There are soldiers sort of milling about. It doesn't
Tanks?
appear as though there's any sort of fighting happening there. And then up the road about
Please, God, don't let this
300 miles
turn into no
up the road,
goddamn
there are
nuclear
reports
war,
of,
goddamn it.
Wagner
Goddamn.
forces making headway
Putin, you
and also
fucking idiot.
unconfirmed reports
You
of
shouldn't have
fighting.
started that
Quite frankly,
goddamn
we
war in the
don't
first
know
place.
any
Now
more
look at your
about
ass.
that, whether that is some sort of, whether there is any fighting between Russian forces and Wagner forces, or what the explanation for those reports could be. So we're trying to track that down. You mentioned.
Shit, I guess I'm gonna get my little guns ready. That shit might spread over here. Let me get my motherfucking little ass guns ready.
To the Russian people.
God
and
damn.
Decisive action. But the big question now, Richard, what is Prigozhin's endgame? And we simply don't know right now. Richard?
Gun Free Nation, y'all get y'all goddamn guns ready, man. This shit might spread over here. This shit it just might come over here, y'all. We already dealing with these motherfucking savages and shit. Now we got to worry about the fucking Russians and nukes and all that shit. Get your goddamn guns ready, goddamn it.
Points made that I hope we can speak a little more about. But the timeline, the idea that there is a problem between Mr. Prigozhin and the leadership in Moscow is not new. This has been playing out ever since the battle for Bakhmut, where he said he wasn't being appropriate.
Let me get my motherfucking AR-15 in my. Let me get that goddamn Galil Ace. We gonna have to go get us some gas and some extra goddamn canned goods and shit now, goddamn it. If it ain't one motherfucking thing, it's another, man. I don't want to die over some shit that ain't got nothing to do with me.
Russian forces is a very quick and hard-hitting affair, and so it is moving quickly. And
yeah, it's escalating. These some battle-hardened motherfuckers, man. What the fuck was Putin? What the fuck was he thinking to hire some battle-hardened motherfuckers out of Afghanistan and Syria and Africa to come help him? None of them motherfuckers don't turn on his ass. Ain't that a bitch?
Big problem for Mr. Putin in Moscow. But it's also a big problem for Mr. Putin's army in Ukraine.
You damn right.
All the soldiers fighting in the south,
motherfucker,
their shoulder to where their support and their command and control comes from, it has been taken over by Mr. Prigozhin's troops. So Moscow's troops are no longer in charge of the area that supplies the fight in southern Ukraine, nor the command and control.
Oh, Lord Jesus, man. Let me get my motherfucking guns ready.
There are potentially some areas where the Wagner troops are believed to have been reported to be there, but possibly some.
See, people keep on thinking, well, they can't touch us. Man, Russia got nuked, man. Look, Russia got some shit that'll make your motherfucking dick fall the fuck off, all right? They got some fucking chemical weapons that'll make your fucking dick fall off, all right? I don't want to hear all that shit. They can't. Oh shit! They go.
Eastern. Wagner claiming that they've taken over this key Russian.
They don't took over.
Center, a very important control center. That's about 12 hours to Moscow by that M4 highway. So around 4 a.m., getting various.
These motherfuckers.
Only, President Putin saying that there's some concern in the area. But also, we also have Wagner.
Man, this shit literally on. Oh my God!
In that timeline, we have Voronezh. Around 7 a.m., reports of tanks spotted in this area.
What?
Tank
They don't.
going
Man,
north.
what
And
the fuck?
This is about 6 hours to Moscow. So moving in that time frame, as you can see here, it's about a 6-hour drive, and we're getting various reports. But this again, the report at 7 a.m. Eastern.
Get y'all motherfucking guns ready. Get your gas mask ready. Get your food game up. This shit is escalating big fucking time. I know I'm being over dramatic, but this shit is some serious shit, y'all. This shit can escalate into a fucking nuclear holocaust. You feel me? This shit
of
What
the
the fuck?
side of the border, then
Reports of fighting
into Russian territory, then into Voronezh, then in Lipetsk. That's 11 a.m. It is 12, as you know, Eastern at the moment right now. I want to first get your response from Mark and then over to you, General Breedlove. But Mark, what do you think about that timeline?
I think things are moving really quickly, and this kind of begs the question. We had this kind of thinking that Russia was a stable security state, and it looks like it's not. Prigozhin, as he's launching this coup, in my mind, certainly had a sense that he could be successful. And I think one of the things we should look at is, has he actually recruited hit asset sources within the Russian security establishment? We don't see.
That's what I'm thinking. Like for this producer or Podesta, whatever the name this dude is, that's the leader of the mercenary, for him to make a move like that on Putin, man, that motherfucker he don't got connected with some of Putin's people that Putin trusts in the upper tier of the Russian government has betrayed Putin. For him to make a move like that, somebody don't gave him the okay. Somebody in the higher ups that's close to Putin has turned on Putin and don't gave this motherfucker the okay. I'm telling y'all, that nigga ain't man.
Approach from Moscow, that lack of confrontation is going to be really telling. Perhaps this was a lot more, well planned than we thought. And one of the things that, of course, that comes to mind is, did the U.S. intelligence community know this was going to happen?
Right.
Did we have advance warning that Prigozhin was going to launch this? And did he have support within the security services, which really is the foundation of the Russian state?
Yeah. General, what do you make of the reporting that we have summarized on this screen here so quickly? Even if we're, plus or minus, this is a fast move by Wagner.
It is, but remember that Wagner was planning this ahead of time. And so they may have had forces already near Voronezh that were prepared to go into the city. It wasn't necessarily a 6-hour road march to get to that battle. Although I'm sure some forces did move along that road, but there was probably already forces ready to make this move. This wasn't a start at Rostov-on-Don.
What up? I get what you're saying, but this look at that, man. Explosions and shit going off in major Russian cities, dog. Come on. Y'all, listen. This shit, listen. Get y'all fucking guns ready. I don't know if they're gonna mean it.
And Western sources, they've got to move forward, but they've got to do it at their own deliberate pace, Christian. I mean, this is whatever happens on the highway to Moscow is not going to remove the minefields in front of Melitopol, and so they've got to move through that area with all due.
So basically, we have an armed uprising that's basically a fucking coup that can potentially turn into a fucking civil war.
On them, find ways through the minefields. But they are making progress. It is slow. It is painful.
Let's see what Fox talking about, y'all. Let's see what Fox, what's going on with Fox.
Actually unopposed to Moscow, and they've taken that city of 1 million people, Rostov-on-Don, that's home to Russia's southern military.
Wagner troops advancing towards Moscow. That's what Fox is reporting. They are advancing. What the fuck? What? Listen, get your goddamn guns ready. This shit just might spread over here. God damn it. What the fuck?
50,000 Russian soldiers killed in action, over 180,000 wounded in action. Those are Russian, husbands, boyfriends. Now, former Defense Secretary Mark Esper spoke earlier about the war with Neil Cavuto.
All right, y'all. Hey, I'm about to do.
And it ripples in multiple ways. First of all, it impacts the war in Ukraine, because if Wagner leaves the battlefield, you lose a very tenacious and capable force. Of course, there's this, what Putin calls the armed rebellion against his rule, although it's more about Prigozhin versus the defense minister.
All right, man, I love y'all, man. Listen.
Officials tell Fox the biggest threat to Russian President Vladimir Putin is 23 years of rule in Russia. And of course, you have Russia possesses the largest stockpile of nuclear weapons.
Yeah, they got more. Russia got more nuclear weapons than we got in the United States.
Yeah, Lucas, you mentioned that so far 50,000 Russian soldiers have been lost in this war effort. And of course, it's no secret that they are suffering from low morale. We saw just a couple of weeks ago a Russian soldier pleading for his.
Yeah, this shit is escalating big time, y'all.
Communications and really spread the word here. He may well demoralize the Russian forces fighting in the field. Another one.
No, the crazy part is a lot of Russian soldiers, they say, are defecting over to the mercenary side. There go that motherfucker right there. He's a bad motherfucker right there to stand up against Putin. Come on now. What Wagner had claims capture key Russian military headquarters.
Infrared seeking capabilities or others. But Mr. Prigozhin is not going to have a free walk into Moscow. He will come under fire.
General, roughly, what is the percentage of troops that equal Wagner troops that were fighting in Ukraine? With Wagner troops now gone, what percentage was lost, if you will, in terms of the force that was going against Ukraine at this moment? Would you guess?
I don't know how this shit gonna end, but
it would be a guess because our understanding of how many Russian troops are actually in Ukraine is not a very good one. As some people have said, as low as 150,000. I've heard more than that. So I don't want to enter into that game and be exactly wrong. But make no doubt about it, 25 to 30,000 fighting troops pulled from the Ukrainian area has an impact. And remember,
hell yeah, 25,000 battle-hardened troops of these mercenaries. Come on, man.
Line Russian troops.
Just pray that
a capable force that was pulled out of Ukraine and a capable force that is now moving towards Moscow.
They're on the march, y'all. They on the fucking march.
And speaking with the various leaders in the area, taking on and putting on your hat, leading in NATO, what are you looking at in the next 12 hours? What are the key decision points that will have to be made? What are the occurrences that you'll be looking out for?
Well, I think that it's very clear that if Mr. Putin allows this to linger, if he is unable to nip this in the bud, as we say in America, this is going to get worse and worse for him. For him, this is a battle of his control of Russia, and he has to be seen as a decisive and capable leader. If the people, Mr. Prigozhin is a very gregarious and personable man out there. He reaches the people in the way he does business. He visits the troops when they're hurt. He's done a lot of things that other Russian leaders have not done. And what Mr. Putin cannot do is allow this very colorful, powerful leadership style to begin to prevail, because if he starts to lose his support of the Russian people, that's the beginning of a real problem for Mr. Putin. So it's a long way of telling you that I think that Mr. Putin has to come strong and hard against what's going on. If he allows it to fester and we actually see fighting in and around Moscow, this is going to be a big problem for the leadership of Russia.
Quickly, we gotta go.
It's gonna be a big fucking problem for all around the world. God damn it, with all them goddamn nukes. What the hell you talking about?
Hard question. Can't answer it because we don't know the loyalty of all the troops around him. Certainly those right in his center are for him, but we start to see that in these areas, maybe the troops are not standing up the way that you would expect.
Retired 4-star General, NATO Allied Commander. Thank you so much, Phil Breedlove. Appreciate your time. Mark, you're going to be sticking around. Kelly Cobier also going to join us. We're going to be back in 60 seconds. Next, we have a key question about this conversation, the breaking news about whether Russia even saw this coming. Right back in a few.
Man, this shit right here is fucking
under 7 and maintained it.
This shit right here is fucking crazy, y'all.
And there's no way that he won't see it as that. And the longer it goes on, the more of an embarrassment it becomes. Russians are at home today. You know, the mayor of Moscow just told Russians living in Moscow they're being given the day off. So now Russians have a long weekend, and they are glued to their telephones, where despite, of course, what we're told about Russia, that there's no freedom of press, they are getting video from Rostov where the action is taking place of these columns on their phones on a social media app called Telegram, and they're just astounded. Vladimir Putin will want to get on top of that and stop those messages coming through.
Here's the thing, y'all.
Do it by taking out.
Let's pray that this shit don't end in World War III. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna leave y'all with that. Let's just pray that this don't end in World War fucking III over some bullshit, man. I love y'all, Gun Freak Nation. Y'all stay armed to the motherfucking teeth. Get ready, because some shit can possibly go down. And don't ever think this shit can't spread over here, man. Nuclear missiles can go anywhere in the fucking world they got, all right? I love y'all, Gun Freak Nation.
He needs, as far as Vladimir Putin will be concerned, this is what he'll be thinking about right now. He needs Yevgeny Prigozhin dead, and he needs him dead quickly and as cleanly as possible.
Yeah, Putin got to kill him. He has to kill this motherfucker in order for him to survive. He's got to kill this motherfucker. Did you just hear what he said?
Closer look at how some of the top GOP presidential candidates would handle what's going on in Russia and Ukraine. That's coming up next.
Putin ain't got no choice but to kill this motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? He has no choice. But anyway, God Freak Nation, I love y'all. I'm out this bitch. Pray for peace, y'all. I love y'all.